Hi, everybody. This is Craig Klein with SalesNexus. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate your time, and we'll get going here pretty quickly. Just a couple of things before I dive in, so that you guys are able to ask questions and get the information that you need. In the GoToWebinar control panel that came up when you joined the meeting, there is a little questions section there that you'll see. Mila is on with us today. Mila is helping us out with the webinar, and she's going to be watching the questions and responding to your questions there as best she can during the webinar. So if you have questions, your mic is going to be muted throughout the webinar just to keep the background noise down. But that way you can ask your questions as they come up throughout the webinar. We're also recording it so that in a day or two we'll publish the video file. So if there's if you want to go back and reference it or share it with other people on your team, you'll be able to do that. We will get started. First of all, just introduce myself real quickly. As I said, I'm the CEO of SalesNexus. My background's in sales leadership. I was a sales VP for 2 or 3 different service companies in the energy business here in Houston, and since then have done a lot of stuff. Wrote a book, started a business, learned to sail, had some children. You can learn more about me on LinkedIn or our About Us page on the website. If you're interested in in learning to manage a sales team, I recommend you take a look at Inside Out Selling, my book that I published a couple of years ago. It's written from the perspective of my my previous jobs managing and growing sales teams, and then of course the last 15 years of working with sales teams and helping them institute processes that are really measurable and scalable. Okay, so today what we're going to try and accomplish is tell you a little bit about SalesNexus, just so you know what we think we're good at, how we think we're different from the other options that are out there for you that you're probably already familiar with, and our process for helping you be successful with CRM. And then we're going to get into the system and just show you how to start taking advantage of it, set it up to really fit your business. And then at the end, we'll have some time for some questions. You can ask questions during the presentation, or at the end, we'll open it up as well. So the problem that we see most people trying to solve is just fundamentally disorganization, right? Your time is not being used efficiently. If you're a small business, it's you're wearing too many hats and you just don't have enough time to focus on selling as much as you would like. If you are managing or hiring salespeople, then it's their time. Are they engaging with the maximum number of potential customers, or are they wasting time on non-productive activities? So in addition to that, the hidden part of the iceberg from my perspective for most businesses is that you don't realize it because you're focused like a laser on what you're doing and the customers that you're working with, but your reach is very limited, especially as a small business. There are a lot of potential customers that don't know you even exist, that are buying things from your competitors because they just don't even know you're here, right? And if we can help you fix that, that can be a huge game changer. So we're definitely gonna tap into how we do that here today. So why are we letting disorganization hold us back, right? Well, first and foremost, it's just hard, right? Again, if you're a small business, if it's just you're trying to wear so many hats and you're trying to do so many things that stopping and working on sort of stepping back and being objective about your process, you just don't have time for that, right? Also, when you get into the market and you start looking for solutions like a CRM or a marketing automation platform, there's a lot of them out there, and it's really overwhelming, right? Who's got time to investigate all of them thoroughly? So that leads you to the situation where you kind of you sort of feel like you're having to throw a dart at a board and pick something, and then, of course, again, if you're managing a sales team, the biggest concern is, am I going to be able to get my salespeople to actually use the thing, right? So we know that it feels that way to select a system like this, and that's why we've developed our 4-step process to help you be successful and make sure that you really reach the goals that you have for your business in using a system like this. We know we're good at this, and we're gonna get into how we're good at it, because the evidence is that customers stay with SalesNexus 3 times as long as they stay with Salesforce, Microsoft, and all the other options out there. So we must be doing something right, and I think a big part of it is the fact that we get engaged in helping you really tailor the system to your business. So what we want to do is we want to help you connect with more prospects. We want to help you close more sales, of course, and increase revenue per customer, meaning not just close one sale with a customer, but make sure that you're selling all the things you have to offer. You're post-selling and upselling those clients. We can help you automate and systematize that. So that's obviously worth a lot of money to your business. The good news is that with SalesNexus, you're talking about spending $60 a month, or about $2 a day. So it's a very healthy investment, right? So I've already talked about my background as a sales manager. All of the folks in the management ranks here at SalesNexus come from a sales and marketing background. So we know what it's like to be in your shoes, and can help you tailor the system to dominate your market. We know what it's like to carry a quota and not hit your quota, not hit your sales goals. We know what it's like to try and find and train and manage salespeople. We've helped thousands of salespeople do this over the last 15 years. And as I mentioned, we've created this 4-step process. We call it the 4 steps to market domination, to help you vanquish disorganization and automate processes so they happen consistently and efficiently every time. So the first step is just deciding how you want the system to work for you. That's the fundamental difference between SalesNexus and everything else you're going to see out there. We're not going to tell you that this is just out of the box, presto, changeo, here's the keys, drive it off the lot, have a great time. That ain't going to work. I'm going to tell you that right now. And if that's what you're looking for, you're in the wrong place. What SalesNexus is something that you can easily tailor to your unique way of doing business. And in my experience, that's the only way to be successful with this. Your business is different from every other business out there. In fact, even within a given market, your direct competitors manage their business different than you do. The way that you're different from your competitors is effectively your competitive advantage in your market. And your CRM and your marketing needs to reflect that. And so SalesNexus has been built to help you do that, to automate your business and automate the unique parts of your business. So first, we're going to gather the requirements from you. What do you need your CRM to look like and feel like and do? Then we're going to help you organize all your customers in those ways and enable visibility so that you can see the right list of customers at the right time, see the right report at the right time, send the right email message to the right people at the right time. Then we're going to set all that up in your CRM, and then we're going to train your team how to use it. And what's beautiful about that is now we're not doing training in some generic SalesNexus system and talking about generic features in the software. We've learned enough about your business at this point that we're teaching you how to do your job using SalesNexus as a tool in ways that is directly relevant to the business processes and things that matter to you that you've told us about. And of course, we're going to help you automate all of those processes. We're going to look at how we're going to do all this here in just a few minutes. So what I'm really talking about when I talk about organizing customers is just fundamentally designing a screen in the CRM so that when you're looking at the customer, you've got everything you need to know about that customer on one page. You're not having to click through 3 or 4 or 5 screens just to figure out what's going on before you pick up the phone. And with SalesNexus, it's super easy. We're gonna do that in just a minute. Then organizing the marketing part of things. What's your strategy for building your list? You know, getting more people on your list to email, creating the campaigns. We've worked with a lot of businesses to help them start their first email marketing campaigns. And we know that, number one, it's very counterintuitive. It's especially if you're a customer facing, you know, sort of a sales person. It's hard to step outside of that role and write an email that's going to be effective. If you've already downloaded our 4 Steps to Market Domination white paper, then you may have seen there's a simple formula in there for creating messages that are gonna work. We've worked with a lot of companies and just figured out how to make it simple. It doesn't have to be complex. So we're gonna help you get that started and then show you how to start measuring what happens and seeing this subject line works, but that one doesn't. Okay, let's do more of the one that works, right? This email's not getting a lot of clicks. Why not? You know, how do we know what to change about it? We can show you those things. And then once we start sending emails and seeing results and optimizing the emails, then we can start automating it. So it just happens like clockwork.
Hey, Craig, it looks like we have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you transfer my data and campaigns from my existing CRM to SalesNexus?
Yeah, great question. Thank you. So yeah, the answer is yes. In fact, just this may be relevant to some of the people on the webinar today. If you're using a CRM now, you know, if you've been in business for a while, you may have been using something for years and years and years. When we started originally, our target market, this was 15 years ago, and the dominant player in the sales CRM business was ACT. And so our target market was people using ACT. And so we were the first company to develop a way for somebody to take their ACT database and upload it into the cloud and not lose anything. And so since then, of course, the market's developed and there's a lot more competitors, but we still have the ability to do the same thing with all of the different popular CRMs out there. Basically, whatever you're using, you can get a backup from them. Typically, that's going to be a zip file that has a bunch of CSV files within it. And you're going to send that over to us, and our team knows how to put the right data in the right places in SalesNexus for you. And you don't lose the notes and the histories and the scheduled calls and your custom fields and your sales opportunities. All that stuff transfers over. And you can also transfer over the email content as well. Okay, so I've had this slide up here for a minute while I was talking. Just a couple of quotes from some customers. This one from Becky I really like. It's just from a couple of months ago. They've been a customer, SmartStep has been a customer for, gosh, close to 10 years, I think. And so we've gotten to know Becky pretty well, but she just hired some new salespeople this year. And she sent us an email because those salespeople had worked for her competitor, and the competitor was using Salesforce. So now she's got the new salespeople working for her, and she's teaching them how to use SalesNexus, and she's just hearing from them over and over again how much they love SalesNexus much better than Salesforce. And the reason is simple. It's what I talked about earlier. SmartStep has customized SalesNexus to work the way they work. So it just works well in their industry, right? Okay, so let's get into the system. So our goal with all of this is to get you to a place where you can log on and have a dashboard and graphs and reports, something like this. But it's not going to be exactly like this. It's what I keep harping on. It's going to be unique to you, right? So the one I love the most, if you're doing any kind of digital marketing, then you know that one of the toughest things to do is to measure the ROI on your specific ad spending on, whether it be Google AdWords or Facebook ads or something else. You spend a lot of money on that stuff and leads come in, but if you're in a B2B world where you have salespeople responding to those leads and there's a human-to-human process, you really lose the ability to track the ROI, because when you ask the sales guy at the end of the month for the deals you closed, which one came from Facebook? He doesn't even know, right? So it's tough. But with SalesNexus, because everything's in one place, you can. That's what this is right here. So by source of lead, how many am I closing? How many am I turning to clients? That's what the orange bar is. So you can see here, my ads are performing awesome. I need to spend more money on that, and maybe, not spend so much money on trade shows, right? Looks like my events are doing well. So, that kind of data is what we want to be able to get you so you can optimize where you're investing your marketing money and deploying your sales resources. And of course, you want to be able to manage the sales pipeline, and you want to be able to do things like, if you have, these 3 competitors in your market, and so you're calling up potential customers all the time and they're always telling you, well, I already work with Bob's Supply. Well, you probably want to keep track of that so that in the future you can come in here and say, boom, there's the list of people that that are currently doing business with Bob's Supply. Let me send them some kind of special offer, right? So there's that list of 218 people that I can take and put on a campaign, right? So that's what we want to do, is get you to that point. The way we're going to do it, there's really 2 fundamental steps that are pretty simple. I'm going to click on the little gear icon at the top to go to settings, and I'm going to go over here to create and change fields. And this is where you're going to customize the fields in the system for your business. You can see there's a bunch of stuff already in there. So you should, kind of look through that. Things like, you may want to keep track of what industry are your customers in. So I can come in here and, customize the drop down that's going to appear. As an example, let's say you're in the finance business and you do business loans, and so you need to know, what type of purchase the funds would be applied to. Are they planning to make a capital acquisition of some kind of equipment? Is it they're going to invest in real estate? Is it for marketing, et cetera, et cetera? Fund, let's call it use of funds, right? And here I might make that, I'm going to make a character actually, and I'm going to leave it a drop down. And you can see you got a lot of options here. I'm not going to burn a lot of cycles on what all these are, but you can see you can make it currency, date field, phone number, email. I can do a multi-select field where I can select more than one option in the drop down. I can search against other fields. Lots of cool things that you can take advantage of it here. but I'm just going to create one, use of funds. It's a drop down. I save it. And now that field is in the database. And I'm going to start adding my drop down items. So let's say marketing and maybe vehicles is probably a common one. Equipment. Real estate. And maybe debt consolidation. Now I can add as many as I want. There's no limit or anything like that. So now I've got this new field that I've created to help organize my customers, right? Now if I go back over here and go to my record, under the X menu is where you're going to find a lot of the reporting and dashboards and stuff. I'm going to use it just to get to my record. So I can go to a contact record. And here I'll click on the edit layout. And now this is where I customize what appears on the screen. So this is my demo database, so I have a lot of random stuff in here that I've added in other demos, which I will now take out. And just leave in maybe that industry and the other kind of standard stuff. And then we're going to go find our use of funds field that we just created. And I just move it over to the right, and maybe I want to put it on the top so it's easy to find. And boom, I'm done. Now I got that field on my screen. You can see right here, use of funds. So the idea is, by doing this, you can customize everything that appears here. You can create as many different tabs on the right side as you need of additional information. So like if I'm in the finance business, maybe once I get somebody sort of qualified and now they're starting to submit an application, I need to collect other more detailed financial information about them, right? So I may have other tabs for more information about that opportunity, right? All of that you can totally customize and make exactly what you want it to be, so that when you're on the phone and you got your phone in one hand and your mouse in the other, it's just point and click. Oh, you're looking to spend, you need to hire, or you need to buy some more trucks. Great. Vehicles. Boom, right? And that's super powerful, right? Because we know that organizing the customer database, that's the key fundamental goal here. That's the platform from which you'll be able to do all the things you want to do. Report, slice and dice your customer list, segment, and target messages at the right people at the right time, right? So what I can do then is come in and I can create dashboards like we looked at earlier to easily pull up the right the right list of people. But I can also just do a lookup and say, maybe I want everybody that's a borrower and is in the state of Texas. So there's 15 people, boom. So the idea here is you can create a very detailed search that uses all of your custom fields and really get to a very specific list. So it might be customers that spent over $50,000 with us last year and we haven't had an order from them in 3 months or something like that. Man, that's a list that I need to pick up the phone and call or send an email or something, right? So now I can take that list and start working with it. So that's the idea. So it's pretty simple. We create fields, we put them on the screen and organize them so it's logical and easy to find for the sales reps. And then we need to create a few emails so we have some things to send out to the people that we're not going to pick up the phone and call. And that also is super easy. I'm going to go back to settings and I'm going to go to company profile here. And here's where you put, the basic info about your company, your links to your social profiles, and you'll upload your logo. And you can see here I've just uploaded one from a previous customer. And what happens is the system automatically recognizes the colors in your logo, and that way you can quickly set the colors for your email templates, right? And build yourself a nice little template that's going to look real nice, right? And match your logo, So you save that. And now I go up here to campaigns and I say create email template. And you can see here, I've got that basic color scheme and my logo and my social links and all that are all built into my emails from the start. So I'll give it a name and I'll select a layout that I want to use. And over here on the left, I click in there and start putting in my text. So up here at the top where it says contact info, that's my mail merge fields. So I'm going to put in their first name, right? And then I'll sign off using my own contact information from the system, or in other words, mail merge fields for my signature as well. And the reason that's important is that if you're going to have other people using the system with you, then they can use the same emails and it'll be personalized for the customer that you're sending it to and the person on your team that's using the email. So you don't have to create different emails for every user on your team. That's a subtle little detail, but believe it or not, in most email systems, that's kind of hard to do. So then I'll want to link this text to my website, and you would just put in your web page that you want to link to, and boom. Obviously we can add a lot more text. You can mail merge any of your custom fields. That's one really important detail I forgot to mention here earlier. When you're creating all these custom fields, with SalesNexus, there's absolutely no difference between the fields that you create and the fields that were built into the system from the get-go. In a lot of systems, there's things you can do with the system fields that you can't do with your custom fields. That's not true with SalesNexus. You can use them throughout the application. So I'm going to apply that text and put it in the template, and then maybe over on the right, I want to put in, some kind of image. So I'm going to clear that cell and make it an image cell. And then when you get started, you'll upload your images into this library here, and that way you can just select them and insert them into templates as needed. I'm just going to pick
one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you automate a campaign?
I'm going to show you that in a few minutes. Just bear with me. Oops, I thought I added that thing in there, but I guess I didn't. Okay, let me get to that. Just finish my email here. All right, there we go. Okay, so now I've got a little text, I got my image, etc. Up here, you'll hit send preview email and send it to yourself, so that you can take a look at it, what it's going to look like when people receive it. And then you're ready to go. And you can now you go over here and say copy template. And I recommend that because in the beginning, you don't want to, if you haven't done a lot of email marketing before, you do not want to spend a lot of time trying to design beautiful emails. That's a big waste of time. What you want to do is you want to write emails that are mostly text that look like you sat down and wrote an email to that customer, and start sending them out and using the analytics to tell you what's working and what's not. And then once you start to get a feel for what messaging is really getting responses, then start investing in making those emails look great, right? But for now, for starters, just get some messages put together and get them out the door. Now we want to create a campaign, and I'll show you that real quickly, and then we'll get into how we automate the campaign. So I just give it a name. I'm going to add an email to this campaign, and I'm going to say I want it to come from me. I can have it come from somebody else on my staff if I want to. And I put in a subject. And I find the template that we just created, put that in there, and boom, now we got our first email in this campaign. And that can be it right there. It's just a one email campaign. We're going to send it out, one email at a time. That's okay. But what's powerful about SalesNexus is I can add more, right? I can say, I want to send them one email, and then, 3 days later, I want to send them another email. I could send them the same template again, or use a different one. But the point is, I can create an ongoing series of messages and automate that, right? And it doesn't have to be just emails. Maybe I want to send them 2 emails. These are people that I've talked to, and I want to get them to fill out my financing application, right? Well, if they don't fill out the application after a week or so, maybe I should call them, right? So I'm going to add a call in here too. And I'm going to put in just get application. And that's what's going to appear on my task list and calendar telling me, call these guys and get their application, right? So now I've got this campaign, and I can go back to that lookup that we did before, or I can go to my dashboard and find everybody that's working with Bob's Supply or whatever list I want to work with, and grab that list, and now go add to campaign and find the campaign that we just created, and there it is. And I'll say, let's start that tomorrow at 7:30. You see right here, it says lookup 15. That's the 15 people that we looked up. So if it's 1,500 people or 15,000 people, it doesn't matter. You just check the box there and hit add to campaign, and it's going to confirm it for you, and you're good to go. Those emails are now scheduled, going out the door. I could literally log off and go on vacation for the next week, and they're all going out. But where it gets really powerful for you as the customer-facing, salesperson, quote unquote, is now what you're going to do is start coming into your task list every day, and it's going to show you who needs a call today. These are follow-ups from customers you're already working with, meetings you might have, etc. But you see Linda here just popped up on my task list because she just got one of my emails, and I'm being notified in real time that she clicked on it. So in other words, I talked to her a few days ago, and I put her on my get the application campaign that we just created, and she's gotten one of those emails, and she's clicked on the link to start her application. Well, maybe I should call her and go, hey, I noticed you were filling out your application. How can I help, right? Or maybe I should wait a couple hours, and if I don't get the application for her, call then. But either way, with SalesNexus, you're going to be able to take a big list, send out a series of emails, and then all you have to do is watch your task list, and you're going to see who's clicking, and those are the warm leads. Those are the people that are raising their hand and saying, hey, you should call me right now. I'm interested in this. So you can take a really big list, and instead of cold calling them all, you're doing warm calls to the few people that have engaged with those emails. So it's a much more efficient way to get you into warm, qualified sales calls instead of doing a bunch of cold call work. Okay, so now the topper here is what was asked about a few minutes ago, and that's automating all this. So I go up here to the X menu, and I go to Automation Plans, and this is where I'll create my business rules for automating things. So let's say I want to automate that campaign we just created. I'm gonna say, I gave it a name, I hit plus to start creating the rules, and I'm just gonna say, if the ID status, which is a built-in field that everybody has in their database, if I change that to borrower, right? So when I put in a new customer from a business card, or I load in a list from an Excel file, or I just type somebody in manually, and I change their status to borrower, then I automatically want to put them on that campaign that we just created to get their application. And that's all there is to it. Done. I hit save, and now anytime I change that field to that value, this campaign gets activated for that customer. And I can make it more complex. I can create more. Maybe I want that to the ID status to be borrower, and I want their state to be Texas. Or any combination of fields that you need. And again, these campaigns could be a series of messages going on for 6 months. Once a week for 6 months, or it could be email them and then call them and then email them and then call them. But either way, it all gets scheduled, and now you have accountability to make sure that the right calls are being made to the right people, and you can rest assured that the system's taking care of making sure that the right emails are going out to the right people. So that is how to make this thing hum for you. You want to get to the point where you're sending emails to potential leads, people you're not currently engaged with, and most importantly, the leads that have gone cold on you. Those are the two biggest areas of low-hanging fruit. The ones that are in your pipeline now, we're going to assume that you're already doing a great job of communicating with them. So there's usually not as much upside for you there, right? But if you imagine all the customers, like we talked about before, that you are not talking to right now and don't even know you exist, what if you could start sending emails to them? And then all the ones that you talk to, but they don't buy, right? What if you were staying in front of them? What's that going to do for you over time? That's where the real upside is. So you want to get to where you have a few of these fields so you can organize and know the difference between these people in these different buckets, and then create a few emails to send out to those people in those different scenarios. And that's it. Okay, so let me close with a couple of things just to summarize kind of, options for getting things started. First, nobody beats SalesNexus support. If you've tried to get support from some of our competitors, then you'll appreciate this. SalesNexus does not ever say you're out of support. Most of our competitors offer a standard support of 48 business hour response time. In other words, you ask for support, and 2 days later, you hear back, right? Well, if it's Friday and you're trying to get a report ready for the board meeting on Monday, that ain't going to cut it. And we know that. And so everybody gets same-day support from SalesNexus. You can call us as often as you want. We're never going to say, you've called too many times this month, you have to pay more. You can email us as often as you want. We have chat built into the system. People love that because it's just, Johnny on the spot. You get answers right away. There's also training videos on the website, and we're here to help you with the actual doing of these things. So if you need help with how do I write an email that's really going to get a result, or my email's not getting opened, help me figure out why, and we're going to help you with that. So that's all included. You don't have to pay extra for premium support or anything like that. Everybody gets the same level of support. Now, if you want us to help you set all this up, everything we just looked at, you can do yourself. Download that 4 Steps to Market Domination and use that as a guide and go to town. But we know that typically the problem's not that you can't do it, it's that you don't have the time, right? You're trying to do business, and you barely have enough time to even think about this, much less figure out how to set it all up, right? Well, so we can help. We do that ourselves. We don't farm it out to third-party consultants, which means we can make it a lot more affordable, and it helps us get to know your business and help you really get it right. And that means we're going to be a lot more helpful in terms of supporting you down the road. Basically, if you're a larger business that has 10, 20, 30 or more salespeople, and maybe different divisions and territories, and regional managers and things like that, it's kind of complicated and different rules for different people and things like that, then typically to go through our setup process, we would charge $1,500. That's consulting with you to figure out how you want to organize everything, setting up all the fields, laying out all the screens, setting up saved searches and dashboards and things like that, loading all your data for you, merging it, deduplicating it and everything, and then doing a training session like we talked about before in your customized solution. That would be $1,500. But if you're a small business, then it's going to be simpler. We're working directly with you. And so what we do is if you're subscribing for a year, so that's $540 for our professional edition for 1 year subscription to SalesNexus, then we're going to discount the setup training by setup and training by over $1,000, and so your total package cost, is $995. So that's a great deal. You're not going to find that anywhere else. You're getting a year's use of the system, and we're helping make sure you get it right. We're doing all the heavy lifting for you. We're getting you launched. So that's $995 total for 1 user subscription and the setup and training. Now, we do have a promotion going on this month. In fact, it ends, I think officially it ends today, but for those of you in the webinar, we're going to give you until the end of tomorrow. We sent out an email a week ago with this promotion, and basically, if you sign up today, or as I said, tomorrow for you guys, then you get $100 credit towards any services. So that would mean that if you sign up for the $995 package that we just talked about, you'll get it for $895. So you got today or tomorrow to take advantage of that. So that's it. I know I ran a little long. I apologize for that. Definitely value you guys' time. Mila, were there any other questions that we need to tackle? Or if anybody has any questions right now, definitely type them in, and we'll hang on here and try to make sure you get all the answers you need.
Just had those 2 so far, but again, anyone is welcome to type your question into the questions box. Let's see. Looks like a couple people might be trying to.
Let's see. Yeah, I see. Yeah, okay, I saw that where a couple of people were asking about automating things, which we covered a little bit ago. Oh,
Yes.
here.
If you do want to take advantage of the $9.95 deal or the $8.95 deal, just reach out via the chat button in your SalesNexus subscription, or send an email to sales@salesnexus.com and we'll reach out to you to get that started.
Yeah, and don't worry, we're going to circle back with all of you guys. Of course, we use the system ourselves, and so you're going to be in the CRM as someone who has attended the webinar, and therefore you're going to automatically go on a campaign to make sure we follow up with you. So really appreciate everybody's time and your interest in SalesNexus and your interest in growing your business. We want to help you get there. So whatever we can do to do that, please let us know. We're happy to help, and we're happy to think outside of the box. If there's something that you need that you didn't hear about today, let us know. We've probably heard about it before and probably have some answers. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Mila.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.